Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Competitive Speed Series, Season 2, Round 1, and we enter the western part of Europe in Portugal. We are down here in Portimao, a 2.68-mile circuit, 15 corners, 9 to the right and 6 to the left. It's going to be speed versus downforce down in Portimao with a 969-meter main straight, 2 DRS zones, and it's going to be a 687 run down from the grid into the first corner. It's going to be 15 corners, and let's see which one of these extremely quick drivers will put that car on pole position to start that car from the front row of the grid for a potential win down in Season 2, Round 1. We do out here in qualifying, 17 minutes remaining and no cars are out on track. You do see some action in the Ferrari pit lane as one of the Ferrari drivers is going to be Covers or Ryan is going to be making their way out onto the track for their first run in qualifying, and it is going to be OP Ryan. It's going to take that Ferrari down the track in Portimao for his outlap. Just get some temperatures into those tires. Just get a feel for the track. Just get that bench lap in. And let's see how the track evolution will come into play. And watch these times drop as the qualifying session continues. As he makes his way around 1, it's going to be just cruising through turns 2, around the hairpin of turns 3. Just get some temperatures into those tires. It's a short DRS straight before you go hard on the brakes for a 90-degree left-hander into turn 4. And then it's going to be a moderate run. And traction is going to be very crucial and very good overtaking opportunity as you just blast your way, just dab onto the throttle and make your way through 5. Around the sweeping corner of 6 now, another going up the hill, down the hill, a little bit of elevations around the track as you just swoop that car into the 7th corner, down to the 8th before you go into 9. So let's see what Ryan can do. As he just takes this car into cruise control around the track of Portimao. He's got one more sector to go before he'll blast his way down a 969-meter main straight to see what time he can put on the board for that Ferrari in Season 2, Round 1. As he makes his way around the looping corners of turns 14, it's going to be flat out through 15. And this track is going to be very hard on ERS. So the drivers will have to be very precise on how they choose to use ERS in the race. Qualifying, not a problem. You just need enough to get you around the first lap as he now makes his way, slots his way down, going into 1, takes a very narrow line, just a little bit cautious on the throttle as he now makes his way through the hairpin section of turns 3. And now be very careful on the accelerator, especially through turns 4. So easy to lose the rear end of the car and you risk spinning out as he goes hard onto the brake into turns 5, sector 1, that's done and dusted. This will get some times up onto the board, already up into the 30 seconds. Now blasting his way through turn 6, all the way down into turn 7. Dab on the accelerator onto the throttle, back. Very cautious, just want to get that very first benchmark in as he now blasts his way through turn 7. It's going to be quick through 8. Drops to 4th gear, attacks the apex on entry and exit as well. Now flat out. It's going to be through 9, hard on the brakes through 10 as well. Coming into the 11th corner now is Ryan, and what time will this be? Got a little bit of chat there conversation going on in chat. Welcome to everybody in as he now blisters his way down the 969-meter straight with DRS wide open. That's the benchmark of a 1 minute 16.1, and his teammate of Covers will have a very nice slipstream behind him. No, he just did not. So now going to the rest of the pack. Who's going to be next to cross the line? It's going to be Lars, who puts in a new provisional pole time of a 1 minute 16.1, and these times are extremely quick. Going to the Red Bull driver, I think that is going to be Lab, makes his way around the final corner right about now. DRS will be activated and he starts his new flyer. Right on his rear will be Mercedes driver. That's not going to be Makilla, that's going to be K-Gat as he crosses the line to go P4 on a 1 minute 16.4. Now the Alpine driver, or I believe that is going to be not LP but his teammate, or is the Williams. Not too sure, going to the Alfa Romeo driver of Vessel as he blasts his way down the main straight. A 1 minute 17.1, not good enough for provisional pole. What about the Alfa Tauri making his way down the main straight? That's going to be Tico, and that's a new provisional pole time of a 1 minute 16.159. His teammate crossing the finish line right about now, and that's going to be good enough for P6. What about the Mercedes driver of K-Gat? Still making his way out for his main lap. And OP Daddle with a new fastest lap and then first driver into the 1 minute 15.8 That's your new provisional time and benchmark. The Alpine of LDL slots his way into P9 on a 1 minute 16.6. And as time advances, this track evolution will come into effect as this track gets rubbered in with every passing lap. RCL Lorenzo, he comes in home for a 1 minute 16.8, 16.6. What about the Red Bull driver? That's going to be RCR Lab 22 making his way down the pit straight. Good enough for P11, not good enough for the top 10. The Alpine driver of Cobra now crosses the finish line and he now moves a lap one position down. He comes home in P11. The Haas driver is on a track invalidation. What about the Alfa Romeo that it will be in a little bit of tow? That is going to be Vessels only making his way into the pits, and the McLaren driver of Casper currently on an outlap. DRS is activated. He's got about 969 meters to go and he sets off for a brand new flyer as he blisters his way down the main straight. Just dabs on the throttle, attacks the apex, entry and exit, back onto the throttle, flat out through 3, flat out through 2, just dab. And he's off. Let's see what sector time this will be in the first sector as he makes use of DRS, the second DRS that is available for this lap at 22.2, and that is not going to be a purple sector 2. Making his way down the main straight now is going to be the Alpine driver, but only going into the pits. What about the Red Bulls? I think they will also opt to go into the pit lane. Yes, definitely they will. I think Cobra is also currently potentially might be on a fly-up. As the time ticks away on 1 minute 12, 13. This is definitely not going to be good enough, and he will make his way definitely into the pit lane in a couple of moments from now. Slots into the pit for a brand new set of softs. 11 minutes remaining in this qualifying session, and the Haas driver of WOR making his way down the main straight right about now. Still without a time on the board. DRS will be activated already into the 1 minute 17. Not good enough for a top 10 start for the moment. Slots in a 1 minute 17.1. What about the McLaren of Casper? He only moves RCL down another spot and he goes quick enough for P12. The Ferrari driver who is currently occupying the front row of the grid. What about his teammate O'Brien? Starts a new flyer as he makes his way, currently occupying P5 and the third row of this grid as he makes his way for a brand new flyer on a brand new set of soft compound tires. So I believe the next driver to cross the line will be the Alfa Romeo driver of that is going to be Felix. No, he is currently on an outlap, so we'll have to wait until he crosses the finish line to start a brand new flyer. And I think that the track evolution will now come into effect, and these times will now certainly start to drop as these drivers go for their second run in qualifying. It's going to be Fraser and McKiller that still needs to set a time. CPI McKiller may be leaving it a little bit to last, but we all know he's got some extreme pace and he sets off for an outlap. Just getting some temperatures into those tires to see what time he can set on the board as Felix crosses the line now, a 1 minute 16.2. But this is a new flyer that he is starting, making his way down into turns 1. Really aggressive, attacking the apex with all his might and keeping it on track. Let's see if this will be a purple sector 1. He's going to have to make up some time because currently he's 4 tenths down the road of your provisional pole setter of OP Covers. As he now goes, he's 1/10 up on his time, so no improvements this time around. We do see that the Williams driver is playing the team game, and we see that Daddle, he is in the toe of NRL Lars. Is he going to get out of his way? Yes, he is, and that's a beautiful toe from Lars, and really playing the team game there for his teammate. Currently occupying the front row of the grid on a 1 minute 15.9. He's 1/10 shy of the provisional time, that is a 1:15.872, and he's already improving by 2.5 tenths, and that's definitely upping the pace. The Haas driver of Fraser making his way around the final bend of turns 15. He's going to be flat out before you see that rear wing of this Haas car opening up before he sets off for a brand new, for his very first flyer. Same with McKiller. I think that is the Mercedes Easter just getting out of the way, giving him a little bit of a show. But then going back to, I think it is going to be OP, and I want to see how this lap unravels, because he was improving in the first sector. That was a purple sector, sector 1, and let's see as he now makes his way, blasting his way into turns 15. DRS will be open, and this time is looking very competitive, and that is why a 1 minute 15.5, he out-qualifies for the moment. That, I believe, will be 3/10 advantage that he has over Covers for the moment. Covers opts to come into the pit, and Ryan, not improving on his time, he also goes into the pit. No, he did improve his time. He was occupying P5, now currently on the second row of this grid in P3. Making his way down the main straight is going to be the Mercedes driver, or it is going to be Makila. He comes, crosses the line, and he only goes good enough for P6, pushes Felix down to P7, and his teammate currently sat in P8. The Haas driver of Fraser, the only driver yet to set a time, is making his way around the final bend. And let's see what time this will be. It's not going to be good enough for provisional pole, but it's not even good enough for the top 10, as he has to settle for P12 on that current lap. The Alpine of Cobra blistering his way down a 969 meter straight. That goes good enough for P7. What about his teammate? Crossing the line now, only starting a new flyer. The Williams were using the toe. Daddles, who's now got the new provisional pole position time on a 1 minute 15.5, is currently occupying the front row of this grid. And will anybody have the pace to out-qualify him and start from the very front of this grid? Always remember that once you start this race, it's a 681 meter run down from the grid into the first turn. So JR, you can see him lifting off the accelerator, and that is why going into the pit lane. And I think that will be a brand new set of softs for his final run in qualifying. And as these drivers are about to start their third and final run in qualifying, these times will now surely start to drop as K-Gut makes his way down the pit straight. DRS open, and this is a good improvement. He's into the 1 minute very low 16s, occupying the second row of this grid. The Haas driver. Is it going to be WOR? No, it's going to be his teammate only coming into the pits. And the Red Bulls, now next to cross the finish line. Lab goes into the pits. What about his teammate of... Just missed it, but he is going into the pits. As LDL also now, with a massive improvement of almost more than half a second, now gets that car into P6 with a 1 minute 16.1. Very good improvement from a lap there, and these times are now surely dropping with the track getting ever so much rubbered in. As WOR now makes his way around the final bend, there is enough energy left for this lap. Is it going to be a nail flyer, or will he opt for the new set of stops? No, he's going to continue this lap. It is going to be good enough for an improvement by 7/10 of a second, pushes that Haas car up into P11, and that is a very, very good improvement. It is meant to be full wets for the race, and that can get very, very interesting. With a wet track, the drivers will opt just to go a couple of clicks up on those setups, just to put some more downforce into the car to be able to attack these sweeping left, right-handers, especially going into the second and third sector. You don't want to be vulnerable running too little downforce, especially down the 1 kilometer straight, but you can't risk losing too much time around these bending, hairpin corners, especially this one off turns 5. As he gets onto the accelerator is OP Covers, making his way down into 6. Such a very fast right-hander before moving into 7. The Alpine driver coming into the pit lane. What about WOR? I don't think that this is going to be improvement. Definitely not. We're already up into the 1 minute 10s, and WOR is definitely going to come into the pits for a brand new set of softs for his final run down in this qualifying session. Casper currently sat on a 1 minute 16.7. 15th on the grid, makes his way to the pits, and I believe every single driver would have made the final entrance into the pits for a brand new set of rubbers for this final run. 3.5 minutes remaining of this qualifying session. It's do or die between Daddles and Covers, and Ryan not too far off the pace. I think he has been out-qualified by his teammate. By how much is that going to be? It's going to be about, like, what, 1/100th of a second? Not a lot of gaps between these drivers, especially Sat in P1 all the way down to P6, P7, P8 even. These times are very, very touch and go between these drivers, and anyone is up for pole position. But the advantage, I think, goes to OP Daddle at the moment on a 1 minute 15.5. He's 3/10 clear of the rest of the grid. He doesn't need to find the time. If he makes improvements, good for him. But the rest need to find at least 3/10 of speed as the Williams drivers once again making use of the slipstream. It's a very, very good toe that he's going to get, getting out of the way of his teammate, and off he goes. NLR Lars. Oh, just invalidates, and that will certainly ruin his lap. Luckily for him, he still has enough time just to get that ERS back into his car and go for another lap, because the track evolution will still come into play. Just slowing down his teammate potentially, but I think Daddles will still give him the toe down the 1 kilometer main straights. So every single driver is currently on an outlap. I don't think anybody is on a flyer except for Daddles, but I did see him lifting and coasting into the first sector, so he definitely will not be going. And this just gives him a little bit more opportunity just to put some more temperatures into that car, and just put those tires into working temperature that he will prefer. He's got provisional pole, so everybody will need to beat that time that he has already set. You can see him leading from his teammate Lars. It's going to be another toe, and will this mean that Lars can join his teammate on the front row of this grid? Potentially, it's not a given, because these Ferraris are also blistering and right on the heels of these ultra-fast Williams. Here we go, down the main straight, 996 meters with a little bit of DRS and ERS, and he's in the toe, he's in the slip, he's up the gears, down the floor. He goes into the first braking zone. Can he keep it on track this time? You know he can, and he is off to see if he can get that car up the order and potentially on the front row of this grid. Just going over the sausage curbs, that will cost him a little bit of time. His teammate right behind him as DRS is widely open. Let's see, he's no improvements on his time. 1.5 tenths up on his time, down on his time. That's not going to be an improvement thus far. He's going to have to make it steep around the sweeping corners of the second sector and the third sector if he wants to get that car up the order and into the 1 minute 15s to challenge for a front or second row start on this for this Grand Prix. McKiller with the invalidation. What about Cobra going up the order? The first driver that will cross the line is going to be NLR Lars. Still no improvement, 2/10. He's going to have to find a lot of time, especially down the straight, where you can't make up too much time unless you do have the luxury of a little bit of assistance from your teammate in front of you, just to punch a hole into the air. He crosses the line, and it's going to be good enough for P4, so he did manage to find some time. He's into the 1 minute low 16s. What about his teammate of OP? Crosses the line, and that's not going to be an improvement. Now, all attention will go to the Ferraris, but for the moment, going to the hash driver of it's going to be WR, making his way down the pit straight. P13 for the moment, goes P12. What about the Alpine drivers and the Mercedes drivers? Kgat and his teammates. Good enough for P5 and P9 at the moment for McKiller. That's a track invalidation. What about the Alfa Romeos? Bessel, currently on the last spot of the grid, goes P16, moves Casper down. Now all eyes goes to the Ferrari drivers, who is improving, but is it going to be enough for covers to take pole position back? No, it won't. He stays P2. What about his teammate Ryan? He stays P3. So the Ferraris on the final run of qualifying has been out-qualified by the tremendous pace of Daddles, who will start from provisional pole unless these two. Felix, definitely not. What about Fraser? Can he deny him pole? No, he can't. And that's qualifying done and dusted. And for season 2, round 1 in Portimao, OP Daddle is going to take pole position, and occupying the front row of the grid will be OP Covers and OP Ryan, who tried to put the pressure on them, just couldn't keep out. They will have to settle for P3 and P2, but now they can work together and just switch the strategies a little bit round. Maybe one of them going for the softs and just trying to get that position on the Williams of OP. So there is your final classifications. It is Williams, Ferrari, and Williams. OP takes Pole position for Season 2, Round 1, followed by OP Covers, who joins him on the front row of the grid. Ryan and Lars occupying the second row of the grid. Gat and Tico, they come home and starts in the third row of the grid, followed by LDL, Cobra, and PLX. They're going to start on the fourth row of the grid, followed by Makila and Lorenz. Down the order in P11, starting out of the top 10, we've got JR, followed by Felix. We've got WR and Fraser, followed by Lab, Vessels, and Casper. Currently starting in P17. Can he make some inroads? Starting from the back, maybe put on a set of hard compound tires, play the long game if there are no potential safety cars, and maybe get that McLaren up into the top 10 for points. So as you can see, it was stated in chat that it is going to be a wet race, and this is going to be very, very interesting off the line. I believe that all drivers will now just go to their downforce settings, just dab a couple of clicks up onto the downforce, because you do not want to risk being too slow around these very, very tight corners, especially going into the second and third sector. You cannot afford to be limping on downforce. Down the straight, you might risk being vulnerable, but you'll be flying around these corners. It seems that the rain is pouring down heavily, and will these drivers start on full wet tires? Potentially intermediate, but all the puddles down in the pit lane. You can clearly see that this race is set to start on the wet compound tires. We are moments away from those 5 lights going out, and who will be the winner of Season 2, Round 1. It's all to play for. Advantage, Williams. But look out for the Ferraris and the Mercedes drivers not too far off the pace. Who's going to win it? Only time will tell, and 36 laps from now. We seem to be taking our time, so one of these drivers are just having a cup of tea just to warm up their spirits before this extremely wet Portuguese Grand Prix. Waiting for the players, and I really hope that this is not a lobby glitch. So if there is any predictions out in chat, who do you guys think will put that car on the top step of the podium and be the winner of Round 1, Season 2, starting here in the western parts of Europe, down in Portugal? As there we have it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I hope you guys are ready for this competitive speed series, Season 2, Round 1, and we are under racing conditions. And let's see, who did get the better start? Where the hell are those tires? Who got the better start? Daddles is still leading the Grand Prix, going into 1. OP covers, and Ryan just has to concede a position from Lars up into P3, and now the Williams can put massive amounts of pressure on the Ferrari. Around the outside is the Mercedes of KGAT. He makes contact with Ryan. Ryan almost gets out on track and spins and bins it, but luckily stays out. Now it's going to be a drag race as Tico makes the way into against KGAT. He's got the inside line. He's going to have to go a little bit wide, which opens up the door for Tico, but now going a little bit wider, KGAT will have beautiful acceleration. He pushes that Mercedes back up into P5. Down the order, Tico being hunted by the Red Bull, who all makes contact with Chico and pushes the Alpine drive a little bit wide, and around the inside comes Felix. Will he try to attack? No, just concedes. But through goes Makila, who did start a couple of positions down, already up into P8, and it's a great battle. WR Dog, he starts on the wet compound tires. Will this have been the best strategy? He seems to have a little bit better grip, and off he goes, sneaking the position, but back on the inside will be LDL on PX. Up the order we go as Covers loses out. It's going to be Lars who's fighting him around the inside. Going into turn 14. Now he gets beautiful traction. And now it's a fight around the very sweeping right-hand corner of the final corner. Turns 15 down the main straight. Who's got the benefit of more downforce? It looks like Ryan is pushing for all his might. might be using a little bit of battery. It's two abreast going at it. These Ferraris will not make contact. They will give each other a little bit of breathing space as Lars has a moment and he drops from P2 all the way down to P8. That was something he could not have afforded, because now he has left his teammate vulnerable to the attack of two Ferraris that's going to be hunting him down. Luckily for him, it's a 2.9 second gap that he has managed to gain over the first lap of racing. Make that 3. It's the Ferraris versus Mercedes, as Kgat, who got a beautiful start of the line, is now up into P4, as we do have yellow flags, and I think that is Vessels. What about Casper, who started way down in P17, already up into the fight? He's currently occupying P13. Closest battle out on track will potentially be WR on LDL. This is going to be the battle for P11. And what about Felix? Not too far off, but now as the Alpine drivers runs a little bit wide, Lars seems to be struggling for grip. Does he have damage on that Williams? I don't see any damage on the end plate, so he is good to go. No need to make a pit stop, as Casper, who starts way down the order, has now having a little bit of a battle with Dog. And now he goes around the inside of turns 14, almost going through 50 now. And before they will go into the next lap, Casper, who was P17 a couple of moments ago, now up into P11. What a great start. But this means that Dog will make his way around the inside if he's got the pace to challenge. Up the order we will go. As you can see, that OP Daddle already has a 3.8 second lead over the Ferraris. It's see you later, he says. Ryan, followed by Covers. Kgat, not too far off the pace, has a little bit of wheel spin, keeps on track. Beautiful driving from these drivers. Up into P5 comes Lorenzo, and he's gaining on these Ferrari drivers. But it's advantage Williams, as Cobra now looks to make his way past Lars, and Lars seems to be struggling because he's now dropping off the pace. Already 2.3 seconds off the pace of Makila, who surely is starting to gain now on Tico. Don't know where to spectate. There is battles going around everywhere. And as you can see, oh, look at the move from Cobra. Does he push Lars a little bit wide? No, he doesn't. Respects the space. And that's how you make an overtake into the wets. Now Cobra, with a great move, a little bit late on the brakes, being brave, being bold, is up into P8 as he makes his way up into the 14th corner now. He's going to be up the gears, foot to the floor, and it's away he goes, trying to put distance between him and Lars. It's going to be Makila and Tico trying to defend for all his might, sweeping to the left, swerving to the right. It's going to be a fight going into one. Is he going to try a little bit of switch around? No, he's not. The track might be a little bit too wet for that move, as Lars goes at it with Felix. Felix going off track for a little moment. It's wheel to wheel. Two drivers going into the third corner. Now they'll be swooping into 4. This will compromise Lars' exit, but now he's got the benefit to defend. Casper is up into P11. Will he be late on the brakes? Yes, he will. And that's a little bit too aggressive. Was that considered being a dive bomb and just wrecking the space that Lars had to fight with? He has to concede. 2 positions, drops to P11. Going up the order, it is Ferrari versus Mercedes versus Ferrari. It's going to be Kgat, who's a Ferrari sandwich at the moment, and we do have a safety car. Now this will play into the hands of Derek, because he opted to start on the wet compound tires. Just for interest's sake, where did he start this race? Well, he started in P13, so he didn't really lose out on any positions. He kept his own, even though he was on a set of wet compound tires. And I'm not sure, with the pace of OP, I think this is an intermediate track, but anything can happen. How many drivers will now opt to go into the pits for a brand new set of tires? I didn't think anybody would, because these tires, only 4 laps of age, can still go a long way into the race. Tico decides that he's had enough and he wants a brand new set of intermediates as he goes into the pits. Now, what did Derek do? Yes, as I thought, he definitely makes his way into the pits. And now we are under safety car conditions. And let's see how many laps it will be until the safety car returns into the pit lane to get us back under racing conditions. What a fabulous race it has been, and now it has just provided the Ferrari of Ryan, the Mercedes of Kagat, and Covers just to catch back up to a blistering quick OP Daddles, who's been not leading but dominating this race. He got pole position, and he's led this race from lap 1 all the way through to lap 5. And if he continues at this pace, I don't think anybody will be able to beat him for the very first race win in Season 2. Clearly, there are a lot of puddles out on track, but as you can see, all drivers are opting for the intermediates. It's definitely not ready for full wets. And how long will this rain continue? Will we see full wets? Will we see the track drying up and going onto the slicks? Anything can happen. There's still a long, long way to go for this Grand Prix. Going to all the penalties so far, it's only going to be Lab 22 who's got a 3-second time penalty, and that will always come to haunt you at the end of the race. So many times we have seen drivers getting onto the podium, having that 3-second time penalty, and maybe potentially dropping all the way to P5, 6, even 7 if the gaps were not too far off. The position changes. It's going to be Ryan, who won himself 1 position over his teammate of Covers, Kagat, winning out on 2, and Covers losing out on 2 as well. Then the Red Bull of Lorenzio, he gains 5 positions, Makila up 3, Cobra is up 1, and look at Casper. What an absolutely dominating start he had to this Grand Prix. Started way back at the back of the grid, already up into the points, and it was spoken about before the race start. Can he potentially take that car up into the points? So far, job done, but it is not over until it is over. Fraser gaining himself 5 positions, JR gaining 1. Chico losing out on 5 positions, but of course, he did opt to go into the pits under the safety car for a brand new set of intermediates, and that is why he had to lose out on 5 positions. Considering it's only the 6th lap of the race, only losing out on 5 positions, not too bad. It means he had a very good race and put some time between him and the back markers. Felix started exactly where he started, followed by Derek, also where he started, opting for the soft compounds, the wet compounds at the start of the race. Now finally on the intermediates, and let's see if this gives him a little bit more confidence to fight his way back up the order. What about Lab? He wins on 1 position, and Lars losing out on 11 positions, followed by PLX as well. As we just wait for PXL to make his way back to the back of the grid, we will have at least 1 more lap of safety car after this lap, and we will be back under racing conditions. The drivers now go into the sweeping, looping right-hand corner of turns 14 before they head into the sweeping, blistering fast corner of the final corner, turns 15. You will see that it is OP Daddle who is still behind that safety car. Bert Mylander just leading a couple of laps here in Season 2, Round 1. Just getting a feel for this white track before he will make his way back into the pits, and we will be back under racing conditions. The safety car will be in by the end of this lap. Oh, but I see Alex going into the pits again. And let's just see what this pit stop is going to be all about. And we do see the intermediate tires going on again. Maybe going back to the intermediates that he started the race with. Let's just see. No, it is definitely going to be new intermediate tires. So if he can catch up to the pack before they reach the 3rd sector, the safety car will be in by the end of this lap, and we will be back under racing conditions. And I feel that the safety car has been out for a little bit too long, and we want PLX to get back to the pack so that we can go back up into racing conditions. And let's see, it's going to be round 2. It's going to be Daddle versus Ryan. Does Ryan, on this safety car restart, will he have the pace to challenge OP Daddles out in front? He's going to have to be extremely quick. He's going to have to be extremely cautious being that quick, because Daddles is upping the pace. And I think that he will put some distance between him and Ryan with 4, 5, maybe 6 corners to go. Time will tell. If he continues the way he started, he will definitely be a contender to win this Grand Prix. The safety car will be in by the end of this lap. That means PLX needs to catch up extremely quickly before he will risk losing out as he makes his way. Coming into turns 11 now, he will catch up to the pack. And let's see, spectating now when Daddles will get us back under racing conditions. Is he going to leave it till late? Is he going to jump the gun a little bit early and try to catch Ryan napping? You can see cars swerving left to right, just trying to get some temperatures into those tires. Covers wants to get next to that Mercedes. He doesn't want to be caught napping. And we are about to restart this race from the perspective of Ryan as we move these cars through into corner number 15, the final corner, to go down the 969 meter straight. No DRS because it is raining. Will he leave it till last? It's 3, 2, 1, go, go, go. And we are back under racing conditions. Ryan, he's in the toe, he's in the slip. He's up the gears, foot to the floor. He's gaining, he's gaining. By the time they go into one, he will challenge the long way around. But Daddles keeps his own, and he leads this Grand Prix going into one. What about rest down the order? K-Gat getting a good start. Covers not putting pressure on him. What about down the order? It's Casper who's trying to fight for a couple of positions. He was P8, he stays P8. What about down the order? Oh! As it's gonna be Tico who almost loses it, but still keeps it out on track. Now around the outside, Felix will go. And with that line, he will have beautiful traction. Just look at the acceleration he gets off the line. And thank you very much, he says. I will take the inside line. Going into the very fast corner of turn 6. Now into turn 7. Now it's going to be right back up to the inside for Fraser. No, Fraser's in P10. Tico and Felix going at it. And he retakes the position over Felix. The Red Bull running a little bit wide. This is a battle between P9 and P10. And as predicted before, look at OP Daddles. Already 1.3 seconds down into the distance. And he says, catch me if you can. Because at this moment, he is going to be cruising into the sunset and take that P1 and that trophy and 25 points. Is there going to be 26? As it stands, it's definitely going to be 26. So he wants a Grand Slam for himself. Is it going to be pole? Is it going to be race win? Is it going to be fastest lap? Only 24 laps from now will tell the story as Casper is going at it, losing out of position on Tico, who gets the overtake done before going into 1. Now moving into 2. Will he try to put the pressure on the Mercedes? Yes, he will. But the Mercedes will have the outside line, and that means better traction and acceleration off the line. Be careful going into 4. Oh, very aggressive on the accelerator, and McKiller is out. Contact was made. And the stewards will be busy tonight. That was contact made. A little bit too aggressive going onto the accelerator. And contact was made. And McKiller has DNF from this Grand Prix. Will there be questions? Will there be queries? The stewards might be busy tonight. McKiller having to end his race in lap 9. And I know for some of these drivers, consecutive safety cars is just so irritating. You want to get racing. You want to put as much space and distance between you and the cars behind as possible. And with the safety car, it just gives everybody the opportunity just to catch up to the leader. Ryan was 2 seconds down the pace of OP Daddles. Now he'll be right back onto his rear. But I don't think Daddles will be too intimidated by this Ferrari at the moment because of the pace he has been dominating. Can Ryan keep his own and defend off the Mercedes to get that P2? Because surely with the way he's been driving, he deserves it. Having to do a little bit more than OP Daddles because he will be. And there you go. The drivers now making their way into the pits. Is the Ferrari boys going to double stack? Yes. That means Covers will lose out on a little bit of time. Yes, and that's going to be irritating him a little bit. He will lose out on a little bit of time. Remember, he was P4. Where will he come out in this race after the safety car? His teammate rejoins in P8, and now OP has to join in this race behind Casper, behind Lorenzio behind Gat. Well, he was behind Gat, but basically he lost out on 2 positions, being stuck in the pits a little bit longer than he would have liked, and that's the risk you have to take when you double stack in this game. Just didn't have the correct gap to double stack, and he has to pay the price now up into P11. Going to your tire compound, so it is going to be OP, who still has not pitted, followed by Cobra, followed by Tico, followed by Derek and PXL. Well, the only 2 drivers yet to pit who started this race on those set of tires is going to be Daddles and Cobra. So it's going to be Ryan, K-Gat, Lorenzio, Casper, Covers, Fraser, JR and Felix all opting for a brand new set of intermediate tires. We have 23 laps of racing remaining in this race. Heading into the 3rd sector now, we will just have to wait that little bit longer as the rest of the drivers are now slowly but surely re-catching up to the pack, and the safety car will be out for 1 more lap before we are back under racing conditions to start the 12th lap of this race, because the 11th will still be under the safety car. So as we now are about to come out of the 1st sector, OP Daddles leads us into the 5th corner, where the safety car will be in by the end of this lap, and he, for the 2nd time, well, 3rd time if you include the race start, he will get us back under racing conditions as he now goes flat out through turns 6. Not flat out through turn 6, I forgot, it is raining, of course, into the right-hander of turns 7. Before going into 8, and now as you can see that Makila has decided that he is going to leave the session, and I think that will really be irritating. Making contact, especially in the rain, and having your race ended on the 9th lap, and having to suffer a DNF in the very first round of the very newest season, that it has to hurt, and he is out of the Grand Prix and will not be scoring any points right as we now move into turns 13. The safety car is in by the end of this lap. You can see that yellow dot of the safety car making his way back into the pits, and Daddles to get us back under racing conditions. Now, did he make a mistake not going into the pits? Maybe just extending the stint, because you have been saving some tire life under 2 safety cars. He certainly has the pace, and Ryan has got a lot of overtakes to make before he can even get close to OP Daddles. As we make our way through turns 15 right about now. He's swerving from the left to the right. Cobra doesn't want to be caught napping. And I think it's going to be 3, 2, 1. And we're off once again. It's go, go, go. And Cobra was caught napping a little bit, which means here comes Chico. Is he going to be making the move going into the first corner? Yes, he definitely will. He's got the inside line. He makes contact. Both of them being forced a little bit wide. And the stewards might have something to say about that one as well. So while Cobra loses out on a couple of positions, through goes... Whoa, hang on, a lot of contacts being made down. Which means Ryan, keeping his nose clean, wins a couple of free positions. Now it's going to be versus Lab, versus Cobra. Chico goes into P2. But will the stewards be busy with that incident as well? We have more yellow flags going into Sector 1 and Sector 2. What about down the rest of the field? LDL going at it with Lars. And I think this is only a virtual safety car. Some debris out on track. More drivers making contact. And I think in the wet, just be that little bit more patient and wait for the overtaking opportunity. Some of these drivers might be a little bit too eager. They might know that the person in front of me is not as quick as me, but still, you need to make that overtake legally, clean, without trying to make any contact. If you risk clipping that front wing, losing an end plate, you will lose a lot of downforce and will be forced, especially in the rain, to make a pit stop, not something that they would want. And some of these battles, well, in my opinion, a little bit too aggressive, but let's see what's going to happen. OP covers, oh my goodness me, speeding under the virtual safety car. He's got a drive-through penalty that he will have to serve in the next 3 laps from now, and now he will be praying for a safety car. That ruins his race. Oh my goodness, going up the order, more drivers going at it, going into turns 1. He's being pushed by Casper, by LD. Oh, going up the order, K-Cat retires from the race, and now, oh my goodness me, PLX makes contact with Lorenzio. He drops down. Guys, what are you doing? Relax. K-Cat retires from this race. I don't know what happened. He might have retired in the pit lane, and more contact is being made against drivers. What about Chico? He's really keeping his own. He's upping the pace and putting pressure on Daddles because he's in touching distance. He is on 4-lap younger tires. He will try to sneak the position around the outside. Will he be bold? Will he be brave? Will he be late on the brakes? Just tabs on the brakes. He's down the gears. Now gets back up into the throttle. Up the gears, foot to the floor. Flat out through the sweeping corner of turns 11. Now going into 12. He's really upping the pace, and he wants it bad. He wants that overtaking opportunity on Daddles. But can Daddles keep his own and put some distance between the two of them? Going down the order, we have more battles going on as JR goes at it with PLX, who's going at it with Lorenzio, who was tapped by the LP driver, had to spin around and lose out on 4 positions. Just backs out. You can see that he's in the toe, he's in the slip, and he's got tremendous pace. Maybe that Alpine has a little bit of damage, and that's exactly what I stated. If you risk losing an end plate on this track in the rain, you will lose downforce and a tremendous amount of time. As Lorenzio is absolutely flying that Red Bull, and you can see JR getting ever so close in front of that Red Bull. How long will it be until they go for the overtake? Time will tell. He's up the gears. He's in the slip. He's in the toe. Will he get out of the toe? Will he back out? He's late on the brakes. He goes for it. Going into 1. But we have seen the outside line being better with traction. JR retakes that position in P8. And that's what's going to happen. If you go too late on the brakes around a wet track, you will risk running out of track and being forced to go off onto the runoff area, lose time, and the position that you have gained. What about up the order? My goodness me, I've missed it. Chico is leading the Grand Prix over Daddles. What about Ryan? What about Cobra? He's going at it, and Lab around the inside. I'll take me some of that, he says. Is 3 abreast, going into turns 12. Now going into 13, 14, 15. Who's going to be brave? Who's going to be bold? Who's going to have the pace? As Casper gets a little bit of wheel spin, which means Lab pushes that car through. But now around the outside, Casper goes into P4. Starts from the back of the grid, but that doesn't bother him. He's now up into P4. What about Lab? He will try and sneak this position down the main straight. They got about 600 meters to go before they go into 1. Who's going to have the inside? It's going to be Casper, but just being a little bit more cautious. Lab might have better acceleration. No, just backs out. Casper runs a little bit wide, doesn't open up the door for Lab. Will he go around the inside or the outside, the long way, the narrow way around, going into turns 5? Time will tell. He's being very cautious, and that is how you do it. Wait for the overtaking opportunity, runs that little bit wide, but that won't phase him. He's right up the gears of Casper. Going down the rest of the order, we've got a battle going on here for P12. It's going to be PLX versus Felix. And it is the closest battle out on track for the moment. What about Lars versus Cobra and the Red Bull of Lorenzio? He wants to get into this action a little bit as well. It's going to be Alpine, Williams, Red Bull. Not too far off the road is going to be the Haas driver of Darrig. Going into 14, he's trying to sniff around the inside. Light contact was made, but no harm, no foul this time around from Lars as they go into turns 15. And you can see that the toe is so powerful, he just gets a little bit of a love tap. And Lorenzio, who's got the better traction, going out of 15. But here comes Derek. Oh my word, we didn't see him making the move. And around the inside he goes. As Lorenzio runs wide, Derek, in a moment of two corners, moves from P9 up into P6. What a brilliant move that was from Derek. It takes you one main straight. Get as good traction as possible. Be cautious going into one. He did it beautifully, and he's rewarded with not one, not two, with 3 positions. What a great move from him. Up the order. Something clearly happened with OP Daddles as he now drops off the pace, but I only think it's because he is on those 15 lap old intermediate tires. Now, if there is no more safety cars, OP has really left himself a little bit vulnerable, because I believe with the rest of this race, Ryan can definitely go the distance. Tico, he might have to pit. It depends how much life you've taken out of those tires. Daddles will definitely still have more life in those tires, because spending 4 or 5 laps under the safety car. But when will he opt to pit? Will he wait for a late safety car, a potential one? Because if there is no more safety cars of this race, he has left himself very vulnerable and will only have himself to blame, not for stepping onto the top step of the podium of this race. Ryan versus Chico. Ryan has got 5 laps, fresher tires than that of Chico. Now, can he make the overtake? We have a yellow flag into sector 3. Is there something that OP would want? Who is that? It's going to be Felix. No safety car this time around. As OP covers, who did get a drive-through penalty under the virtual safety car for speeding, unfortunately, starting in P3, he now is down in P14. Felix retires from the race, but of course that was in the pit lane, so there will be no safety car, something that OP will definitely be hoping for. He needs a late safety car or a safety car to come out right about now. He doesn't want to risk pitting, and then 2 laps after that, all of a sudden the safety car comes out, because he will have the opportunity to put under the safety car, as many drivers will potentially do, because everyone will still have 1 fresh set of intermediates to their disposal. Lorenzio and Lab is going at it, of course. It's the teammates down at Red Bull. As you just see, Derek gets a little bit of a wheel spin as OP Covers gets another 3-second time penalty for multiple track warnings. Just going down to your penalties for the evening, it's going to be Chico with 3 seconds worth of penalties, Lab with 3, everybody basically, Lab, Lorenzio, Cobra, JR, it's going to be LDL and Lars, as well as Covers. They all share a 3-second time penalty. It's going to be Rain all the way to the end. And as we now go, it's going to be Ryan versus Chico. It's also Lars versus PLX. Who's got the pace? Who's got the patience? Who's got the drive? Gap to leader, that is going to be OP is currently 2.8 seconds down the road, but what about Covers? He's got 56 seconds to clear before he catches up to the race leaders. Oh, Chico runs a little bit wide. He gets a little bit of wheel spin, which beautifully opens up the door for Ryan, especially because he's got 5 laps, fresher tires, and for the first time tonight, as we head into lap 19, Ryan for Ferrari leads the Grand Prix, and he will be happy about that one. Having a great drive, starting in P2, keeping everybody behind him very, very humble. Ryan, who thought he will never catch up to the pace of Daddles, is now leading the Grand Prix for the first time this season in round 1 up into lap 19. OP Covers with another 3-second time penalty. It's going to be Lorenzio also making the move on Daddles, who finally decides that he's going to make a pit stop. So let's see how much time he will lose in the pits and what the gap will be between him and the race leader as soon as he comes out of the pit lane. He will rejoin this race in P10. He's still in the points. That's damage limitation. But how much time has he lost not pitting under the safety car on lap 7? Gap to the leader so far, 28.2 seconds that he needs to catch in 14 laps of racing. Can he do it? The tires will be... There you have it. That is the tire life for the moment.